Okay, hi everyone. Good night. I'm doing the recording that some of you had requested when it comes to the rest of the topic for dilation. I apologize that I'm doing it until now, but I did get caught up today, guys, with a lot of things. So I'm sorry about that. But hopefully, this video helps you guys in completing the assignments that you have to do, right? So, as we have been talking about this week, we're doing dilations and we're doing construction of dilations. So, basically, graphing them. And yesterday in class, we had begun to do this one, which was the section one of learning activity number two. I had asked you guys to graph it, to create your Cartesian plane first, of course. 13 spaces at the top of the x-axis and 13 spaces at the bottom of the x-axis, 10 spaces to the left and 10 spaces to the right of the y-axis, so that you have a very symmetrical Cartesian plane. And then the graphing of this shape can come out very neat and very distinct in your graph sheet. So basically, this is what I had requested you guys to be doing yesterday, but we did run out of time. And as I had shared with you guys, this is what your final product should have looked like. All right, so this is it. This is what I'm expecting you guys to have for this part. Now, what is important though is that you would have to be able to how can I say it? use the points use the points that are here, and you need to apply the scalar factor to each of these points. So now this is what you guys I did ask you guys to do, but I'm not that sure if you guys understood what was happening in this case. So let me show you guys that. um I'm gonna share this one now. Okay, and you guys can see that. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so now here I'm going to be just inserting the slide. Yep, there you go. So now I'm gonna be writing on this slide so that everybody understands what I'm asking you guys to do. So the questions is you are to graph the same image, so the same star, it's a 5-point star, the same star that you guys had there. You are to graph it under a dilation of half. So now automatically what you guys should be imagining in your head is that my new image is gonna be smaller than this one because it's a dilation of half, it's a fraction. So what I'm going to be showing you guys is basically how to mark the points, to find the points, and then from there you guys should be able to do the rest of the graphing, because I'm not going to be showing you guys the graphing. I think that you guys should at least be able to do that, plot the points. So let's just make sure that you guys have the correct points, right? So I'm looking at now point A, right? Point A, and let me zoom this up. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I'm looking at point A, and point A is 0, 12. And what I need to do to find A1 now is that I need to find I need to apply the scalar of half to each of these numbers. So what I'm going to be doing is that um, I'm going to be writing A1. 0 times a half is 0. And 12 times a half is 6. So this is going to be my new point that I'm going to be plotting. Let me see if I can do that in another color. Okay. If I want to find B1 now, I need to multiply by half. Negative 3 times half. And this is where I need to remember my basic multiplication. If you guys are unsure, it's always good. Have your calculators. Don't be afraid of using your calculators, right? Just to cross check your answers as well. But in this case, negative 3 times a half gives me negative 1.5. And 5 times a half gives me 2.5. C1, negative 10 times a half gives me negative 5, and 5 times a half gives me 2.5. All right. D1, negative 4 times half gives me negative 2, and 0 times a half gives me 0. Right? Um, then I have E1. E1 is negative 6 times a half, that gives me negative 3, and negative 9 times a half, that gives me negative 4.5. So these are the points that I'm going to be plotting, right? So you guys have to be careful when doing these ones. Okay. F1, 0 times a half gives me 0, and negative 3 times a half gives me negative 1.5. G1, 6 times a half gives me 3, and negative 9 times a half gives me negative 4.5. H1, 4 times a half gives me 2, and 0 times a half gives me 0. I1, 10 times a half gives me 5, and 5 times a half gives me 2.5. And then J1, 3 times a half gives me 1.5, and 5 times a half gives me 2.5. And there you go. And we have the points there, right? Then these are the points that I'm gonna be plotting. So when you guys have, and I'm gonna share this one now. When you guys have your star here, all right, then I'm just gonna be going and I'm gonna be plotting the points. So let me just show you guys a couple of these points. Okay, so point A now, if I go back and I look at what my new point for point A is gonna be, my new point is gonna be 0, 6. Let me just change my color. 0 on the X and 6 on the Y. It's gonna be right there. And then this one is gonna be A1. Sorry, A1. Right? B1, let's look at B1. It says negative 1.5, negative 1.5, and 2.5. So negative 1.5 is going to be exactly here in between negative 1 and negative 2. And then 2.5 is going to be in between 2 and 3. So my point is going to be somewhere over there, exactly in the half, right? And then I go ahead and I label this one. And this is going to be B1. And then you go along and you go doing the same thing, and then you're supposed to get a smaller version of this 5-point star. All right, now the last part though, if we go to the instructions of this one, it says students will then include a Bible verse that refers to man's responsibility for creation as a title. So when you guys are looking at this graph, you need to include a title right here. And your title is going to be a Bible verse that talks about some Bible verse that talks about our responsibility as the caretakers of creation. And basically, that's what we have been, as I mentioned in the creation that we did throughout this week. So you guys could go to Genesis. Genesis is an example where God mentions to Adam and Eve that they could rule over and they could take care of creation. So then you could go ahead and you could use Genesis where God says it directly, or you could go to any verse in the Bible that mentions our responsibility um, for creation. We are given the responsibility of taking care of creation, and that is going to be your title for this. And you do that on your graph sheet, you write your name, and then you submit this to me. And then that should be it for this first one. All right. Um, Now going into the second activity. mm, the second part of this activity is this one. You have two questions. You have this one and you have this one. If you did not print out the worksheet, you can graph this. This can go on half of the graph sheet, and then the other one. No, I'm sorry. You would have to do each of them on one graph sheet. Unless you do it smaller and you're scaling it, then you would be able to do it on two graph sheets because it's 10 by 10. So this is gonna take the entire graph sheet, guys. So then one graph sheet for this one and then another graph sheet for the other one, right? Now, moving on to this one, what is it asking you guys to do? The first part to this assignment, to this section, is very easy. You are to give the points. What is J, what is K, what is L? And you can get that from just looking at this question. And you can get what these points are going to be. K, J, and L. Right? And then you can come over here and then we can write what these points are going to be. So J, if I look at where J is 2 on the X and 4 on the Y. So basically that's what I'm going to write here. 2 on the X and 4 on the Y. If I look at point K is on 1 on the X and 1 on the Y. So basically that is what I'm going to be writing here. And then if I look at point L is 0 on the X, 0 on the X, and then, sorry, no, it is 4 on the X and 0 on the Y because it's on the X axis. 4 on the X and then 0 on the Y. So then these would be your 3 points, 2, 4, 1, 1, and 4 is 0. And then now it says that you are to show the dilated image under a scale factor of 2. So I'm going to be taking each one of these ones, 2, 4, 1, 1, and 4, 0, and I'm going to be multiplying each number by 2 to get my new points. So 2 times 2, how much is 2 times 2? That is going to give you guys 4. The other number is 4. 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. If I take a look at K now, K is 1, 1. And if I times 1 by 2, I get 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So I'm just going to write it here, 2, 2. And then 4 times 2 gives me 8. And 0 times 2 gives me 0. And then now when I have those points, sorry, when I have these points that I have here in red now, this is going to be my new image. And this is the one that I'm going to be graphing. I need to show that here in this diagram. So I'm just going to be taking these points and I'm going to be finding them over here on my graph. The first one is 4, 8. So I'm going to have 4 on the X and then 8 on the Y over here. 4 on the X and 8 on the Y. Right there. I hope you guys can see that little dot that I'm doing there. And then this is going to be J1. Then I have 2, 2. K is 2, 2. So I find 2, 2 and it's right here. And this is going to be K1. And then my last point is 8, 0. And then 8, 0 is 8 on the X. Right there. And 0 on the Y. And this is going to be L1. And then I'm just going to connect the dots. And I don't have a ruler, guys, over here because I'm doing it electronically. But in your ones, it's supposed to look straight. Right? So it's supposed to look something like this. And then this is going to be your new image, right? Your one is going to look straighter than mine for sure because you guys are using a ruler. But this is going to be your new image. And then we're going to be doing the same thing with the other one. You are going to be identifying what is M. M is, if I look at the points, 3, 9. I can go ahead and write 3 and 9. N is 6, 0. And I go ahead and I identify each one. O is 3, negative 6. And then P is negative 3, 0. But now this question has do it under a scale factor of 1/3. So I'm going to be taking the 3 times 1/3, the 9 times 1/3, and then these ones are going to give me my new point that comes from M to give me M1. And I'm going to be doing that for all of them. And you, if you can't do this mentally, you don't have a calculator, you just can go ahead and cancel. This is going to give me 1. This is going to give me 3, so my new point is 1, 3. And you do that for all of them, and then you go ahead and you graph this image as well, right? So that should be it for this assignment, guys. Please, please, please remember you need a math set for Monday. We're doing construction, and I would like you guys to have a math set because you're gonna need it and you're not gonna be able to do the work for next week if you do not have a math set and you need typing sheets. So please remember that, guys. Hopefully this video helps you guys, and then if you have any questions, message me tomorrow, which is Friday, and I will be there to help you if you have any questions. Okay, so have a good night, guys.